I was going to Ajman. My friend sent me the location, and the roads of Ajman are like under construction. So I got lost. And I didn't know where to go. And I was just driving here and there. And by this point, it was late in the night, like super late, around 12. And I'm like, where do I go? I'm panicking as well. So I come across this resort. And I'm like, I need to go inside. I need to get the charger from my phone. I need to get the internet connection. And I need to find my way back home at least. So I walk into this resort and I'm quite shy and it's quite huge. I don't even remember the name of the place because I was completely lost. And I see like there's this small area where they have horses. And I'm automatically drawn over there and I'm walking over there. And I'm like, okay, I can't go up and just ask, what's the password to your internet? And I can't just go like, can you give me a charger? I need to charge my phone so I can go home. Instead, I asked them, how much is a ride for?
Yeah.
And they tell me like it's for 25 dirhams for half an hour, 50 dirhams for an hour. And I'm like thinking, do I really need to do this? And I'm like, yeah, why not? It's been so long. I couldn't even remember when was the last time I'd ridden a horse. So I was like, okay, fine, I'll take the one for 30 minutes. And then he's like, do you know how to ride? And I'm very confident about saying, yeah, I know how to ride. Not knowing how to ride at all. So I'm like, okay, I get on this horse and I very, very distinctively remember they asked me which horse and I just go up to any random horse and I'm like, this one. And the name of that horse was Halva.
Okay.
So he's
nice.
like, this is a sweet horse. And I'm like, yeah, I hope so. So they take this horse out, they put the horse in the arena and then they ask me to get up and I'm on this horse. And I'm riding and this is, it's like, do you want to take the horse on a walk? Do you want to make it go faster? I'm like, no, I just want to walk. And I'm walking with this horse and all of a sudden, everything disappears. It's a very, numbing, but kind of like an epiphany occurs at that time. And I'm looking around and there are lights and it's dark. The only thing you can see are the headlights of the road. And I'm on the horse. Everybody else has, left the place because it's late at night. It's just me and the horse and that scenario. And nothing else mattered. And at that point is the point when you start questioning yourself. And I was like, what have I done in life? Where is this in my life? This is something that I'd loved. I used to remember being a kid and, praying and going, yalla, please, I want a horse of my own. And I want this and I want that. And all of those pure moments started bleeding in.
Wow.
And that was a moment I realized that the life that I was spending was way too occupied with what others wanted out of me, trying to, be enough for my family, for, my friends and everything. And there was no space for myself in my own life. I hadn't done anything that made me happy. And I had not paid attention to myself. I was so hell-bent on achieving my goals and achieving this and that, those worldly things, that I had lost the essence and value of life. And that one moment I had decided I'm going to start, getting enrolled with horses, like get classes or get something or the other and do this. And I came back, obviously I got off the horse, I got my internet and went back home, threw a fit with my friends. You guys called me to the weirdest places, I don't know where I was and all of that. But I really did take something from that night and from that horse, Halva, in Ajman. And from there, I just got enrolled within the next month into horse riding. I got my 30 classes done from the first stables. My friend suggested me to come to Al-Sahara stables. And from Al-Sahara stables, they kind of pushed me to try tent pegging. And from there, just took on,
Wow. Something now when I'm listening to this, I'm watching a movie that
yeah.
is going through phases of life, different, but all that maybe in a month,
Yeah.
few months.
Yeah.
Sahara 1 month, almost 1 month.
Almost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the Ajman incident was close to Sahara or a bit far in time?
So Ajman was there. Then the other stable was not Sahara. The other stable was in Khavanij, which was Al Madam stables, and that stable's around a month, and that was in Khavanij, like you said, in Dubai.
So a few months.
So a few months, like around.
Few months.
Yeah.
Okay, and if I say that Aisha, she can ride the horse, the backside, yeah.
Although I would not suggest people to try to do that. It is super, super dangerous. I mean, I've had my fair share of falls while trying to do it. And again, safety, wearing your helmet and jacket, that's something you definitely need to do when you're trying to pull up stunts. And I'm no professional by any way. Like I said, I'm really new into riding. But that was something on my checklist and something that I wanted to do. And knowing my horse was so bonded and he's so respondent to how we kind of like communicate each other in terms of, stopping and cantering. So I could trust him with myself to do that. Wow. But yeah.
Nice. She said the checklist.
Yeah.
So this is very interesting. So you have a checklist, yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, I want to do that and that and that. So, okay, this is like horse. Okay, this is the stage of horses, yeah. So, what other things that you want to do
in life, other than like horses, and something significant like horses?
Definitely. I've always had a feeling like, I'm meant for bigger things in life. And a lot of that kind of like centers around kindness. That's like a key value for me. So a lot of charitable work. One of my job before working as a special needs educator was to work as a recruitment consultant, where I used to help people get jobs within the GCC. So that was one of the things in my checklist, that I need to do something that helps people. And then it was something that got translated into doing something that helps children, because they are the future of the nation, and they are the people who are going to carry the country and the nation on their shoulders. Another checklist was something my dad would always kind of like, tell me to do, was to help animals and be kind to animals. So something in that sort is also, I've kept it in my pipeline. There are a few things that I want to invent, and I have like, a rubric for that, like an invention book that I've kept side by side that I work on with applications and products and services that I would want to launch in the future, hopefully, inshallah. So those are also there. There's also part of a checklist. But if I were to talk in specifics, they're just like small milestones by the day, like to-dos to get done with, that kind of like goes to the bigger picture of the checklist. So just being kind, creating a unique service or product that could help people for the betterment of the community, and just trying to make my mark in the world with people and animals, and that's about it.
This is really touchy,
yeah. But she said something that is still it's sticking to my mind. Bleeding. When you start describing the situation, you said bleeding. I know it's an expression, but I don't know why I felt you could use other expressions, but this gave me a sense that there's something big inside you that hurted you a lot.
Definitely.
Yeah. So when you said bleeding,
that's very true. So you've got to understand, people who are there in this world, definitely everybody goes through their own struggles. But in terms of when you find a person who has a depth and width of perception towards the world, it takes actually a lot to be able to break down everything in this world, to kind of realize that the only thing that matters is the efforts you can put in to make living better for others and for yourself. And that usually comes at a cost. That perception gets built when you get hurt by things over time and time. Either it's due to financial, emotional, psychological reasons. But all of that kind of like does build a persona around you that, you've seen enough, you've been through enough to be able to understand enough. And that's when you start seeing everything at a molecular level.
Yeah.
And that in itself is something that I think makes you lens the world better, because you start understanding everything. Nothing becomes impossible then. You see things at the very base of what they are, and that's how you start your learning. So nothing becomes difficult. When you said that you started writing within a month and then you're able to do this, you start doing this and then you're able to achieve it in such short amount of time. How is that possible? Because not everybody does that. I think it's because not everybody goes through the similar situation in a similar way, that kind of like lets them build that perception that everything is achievable if you have the right intent, if you put the right efforts for it, and if you just, you know, give your best. And that honest try just makes it work.
What is a fueling, like putting a fuel for your learning? Is it like you want to achieve, like, are you running from something, or you running towards something? Two different approaches. Both of them you could do horse riding within 1 month if you are determined. But are you running from something through doing this, or running towards something that you want?
That is actually a very interesting question, because when you look at it, it's not that simple. Definitely running from something always exists, because you do whenever you come for horse riding or whenever you do an activity, you are detaching yourself from the rest of the things in the world. Right? You want your space, your peace of mind, you want that perception change. However, at the same time, if your skills and your talent excels at a certain thing, you automatically are thinking about, maybe I want to take this forward to something that's more magical, something that's more profitable for you in the longer term. And that's why you stay hooked on to some activity, right? You do painting once and then you're like, okay, this is good enough painting, but you know, nobody's going to look at it and say it's good. So you would just stop over there. You'll get that mental block. But then that depends on how you base your future intent with that particular thing. Horse riding for me had always been something that brought me closer to my dad. So for me, it was always something that helped me gain a bit of realization and a bit more in depth of the things that were there. Other things, like other activities that I do in terms of sports, painting, music, all of that, those are all things that I feel like are talents that I kind of like brush on. I don't intend for them to take off somewhere, but definitely something that I keep aside for myself to kind of like get into and just change my perspective and get back into my work, which is a bit more demanding in terms of my skills and expertise.
Nice.
Yeah.
I like how she said that you're putting, like, for example, painting and all for yourself. Maybe horse riding, no, something bigger than that.
Yeah.
When you detach from the work and the pressure of the work and this, some people, they don't know how to detach. How you are doing that?
Yeah.
If someone doesn't have this kind of activities and this, how?
If somebody who's finding it hard to detach from their work, they're either of two things. One, either they really like their work and that's what they want to do. That's what they're biologically built to do, and they feel it inside. And even if they wanted to, they cannot separate themselves from that vision of the person that they want to be and what they want to do. Or either they need to question themselves that where they are, is it worth being in that place, because they need the detachment so bad, but they can't get it because they are so pressurized to be in that situation all the time. For either of the two cases, detachment happens when you are satisfied. And also, maybe if you're not satisfied. Satisfied in the sense, for example, if I were to speak about myself, I work in a school as a G&T coordinator, which is gifted and talented coordinator, and a learning support teacher for special needs and disabilities. I love my job. Yes, pressure exists everywhere, but I can go home and I can sleep peacefully thinking I made a difference. So it's never about detaching myself from that. It is just giving a break to that for time, for me to learn something which gives me a better idea, better cognitive skills, better creativity and imagination that I could someday maybe take to them. If I think about horse riding, I think about, yes, it is therapeutic. it is giving me well-being vibes, emotionally, physically, in all the sense. Maybe someday I can suggest that to one of my students who I might find has challenges by having ADHD or autism, and they cannot communicate. Maybe they can also take up these activities. And I have been, alhamdulillah, successful enough to convince some of the parents who are going to get their kids enrolled in horse riding by seeing the videos and pictures that I share with them, and them seeing that bond that I have with my horse, and thinking, yeah, this is something my child will excel at. So that detachment in itself is something that helps me reattach to my work. And if for somebody who's dissatisfied, what they can see is that by stepping out into something that is different can help them realign their focus to things that are more important. So that Ajman phase for me was that I've been doing so much, where am I putting myself? Maybe for them, when they detach and they look at things that they like, they will find out what they are more inclined towards. And if they get that key, to their lock, that this is what I'm good at, maybe this is something I need to work with, that would then help them kind of like get detached from whatever they're doing at their job, work at that little thing and slowly build upon it, so they can make that transition and shift easy. And in the process, they can fall in love with their old work while continue, working on their own personal thing. And slowly like that, they will just feel like they're a different person altogether and find their own moments in life.
Nice. First of all, I want to just say, thank you very much for...
it's a pleasure.
You know why? Because I could listen for such a podcast forever. Not because of us, we've done it now, we've done a lot of... You are
expressing with emotional, and we can see that from your words.
Yeah.
He said movie. Yeah, I can see that. Oh, she's working there at the school and she's giving from her heart.
Yeah.
This is really not easy.
Yeah.
So you said the key to find their goal or what they want.
Yeah.
There is any I want to say procedure, any signs, so he can find his goal. It is not easy for us because their life is very pressure.
Yeah,
true.
Very pressure, and you cannot focus on everything. They're letting this life letting you out of focus. You want just to finish your work, then go sleep.
And so many other things, problems here and there.
True.
You don't have the, I would call it the quality time to find your passion or your goal or something that you are attached to.
Well, just to build up on that, the pressures of the world exist, and that's life. Thinking about the ups and downs, the system that we live in, which is the world, is that you have to educate, you have to get a job, you need to be stable enough, you need to do something which makes your living standard better and better and better. When do we stop and think, what I have right now is good enough? Because we keep chasing things, we never actually stop and think that maybe whatever we have right now is enough. If you relate happiness to the people in the past, and if you relate studies that have shown that people's emotional intelligence, quotient, EQ, has gone lower, people are less emotional these days, it's because the materialistic things in the world have taken over so much that you get something and then you're chasing the other thing without valuing the thing that you have. It's like buying 10 pencils and then you want the 11th pencil just because you want it, and once you buy the pencil, you just keep it in the rack, and you're never using those pencils to write anything.
Wow.
You're not writing your story, you're not drawing something with it, you're not helping somebody with it. It's just there, and that thing in itself that you wanted to achieve has now become valueless and meaningless because that thing is not fulfilling its purpose. It's a pencil, you need to do something with it, right? So it's the same thing with us. We have a job that we think is paying us the most, and then we're like, okay, now we can pay off this and that and this and that, and we're done. And we can sit in our chair and we can be comfortable, but we're never comfortable because we think, okay, I need to keep doing this because I need to keep earning, and maybe I need to get another chair. Even if there's nobody to sit in that chair, but you need another chair because it's a requirement in your house. So when you stop and when you think that, is this what I really need, or is this something that I'm just doing for the sake of doing it? That is when you can realize that even with little things, but those things that matter to you, and using those things to the fullest and efficiently, effectively, is when you find out that yes, you have the time, you have everything in the world to accomplish, even with those little things. And those little things automatically, with the right attention and the right focus given by you, will start growing into the success that you want. But people would not see it that way because they're already pressured. They already have that generic system and routine to follow, that they have to get up, go to work, earn, come back home. And now we're too tired doing what we didn't want to do, that we need the rest. We need that, relaxation, that, okay, I need to prepare myself to do the same thing again tomorrow. There's no excitement. There's no motivation. There's nothing, exceptional or magical about it.
Yeah.
Something I find with my job, which is magical, is that when I get up, I already mentally prepare myself. Today is going to be a difficult day because, I don't know the situations that are going to come up. I don't know what kind of issues or challenges I'm going to face. But then I set my mind into that work phase, or that drive mode where I say, whatever it is, I'm going to make the best out of it. I'm going to do my best to make sure that somebody else benefits from it. Or I'm just going to try my best and give it an honest try. Rest, if it happens, happens. If it doesn't happen, it's outside my circle of control. It's going to take its own course anyway. So if I sit and relapse about whatever I did wrong, it's never going to help anyway. Yeah. So why not do something better, something that's good for my next try?
Something. Wow. Yeah, it's
he's now in the mood.
He's getting there. We're getting there. We're deep diving into this.
But the thing is, you said a very nice example, the pencils. We just want to accumulate things, materialistic things, without using any of the things that we have. Actually, this reminds me of some people that I know. You know what they do? They accumulate certificates without knowing why they are studying. So they reach, I know people, they've reached to their PhD level after they graduated. They don't know what they're gonna do now because they stopped learning. Yeah. They stopped acquiring certificates.
Yeah.
And the thing is, it's not about the certificates, it's about what you will do with these certificates.
Yep.
And so you are doing that.
Yeah. So I think diploma is enough if you will do great things with this diploma. So this is really important thing. And I've heard one, it's like an Arabic saying, or it's not, I try my best to translate it, but there is the curse of the overflow, something like that. So anything that you overdo it, it will turn against you. So now, write with the first pen or pencil. Okay, once it's finished, there is no ink, or it's go to the second one and upgrade and update.
Yes.
Also in business world, if you keep putting problems and you just keep on finding solutions and you don't execute anything, you will keep forever until someone will die, and you will keep just generating problems and solutions.
Exactly.
Yeah. So this is a very, very critical point that you've mentioned. It's
true.
Yeah.
It is when you put experience into execution and you put actions behind your words, is when you actually have learning happening. Because again, resonating with the same example and experience, it is when you write with a pencil, you understand the flow of it, you understand the grip of it. You cannot improve unless you've been through an experience that teaches you what is improvement. People who keep generating problems and solutions for them but don't action them, again, problems are going to come. Every day you're going to face a new problem, a new challenge. within a month's time, your company will have 10 new problems because the market has shifted. Maybe something new has come up. And, you know, with technology and everything advancing, AI on its game, everything is going to change. Change is inevitable. But if you don't solve whatever you have right now in the present, how are you going to look in the future problems and solve them? You know, kind of like there's a discrepancy over there. You can't solve what is now, but you're thinking about solutions for the future. So how does that link? And definitely that doesn't work out in the long term. So again, the whole focus is on the present, on what's right now, the steps you take right now, the efforts you can put in this moment right here. Just being over here talking about these things. Maybe somebody's going to see this and they're going to be like, yeah, you know, I've not had that moment where I've sat down and thought about what I really like and what is it that I really like, and they can get a book and a pen and they can just start writing. Maybe these are the things, and they built their own checklists that these are the things maybe I want to do. And in the pursuit of doing those, maybe they will find the happiness and their love for doing something in which they will excel and become more successful.
Yeah. You know, nowadays some people would say that, you know, even if I get a pen and paper, I'll not be able to know what I love. But from your story, if you sometimes, like you don't need to think a lot deeply to know what you love. You see, you were like passing by the place for, like, you saw horses and you've went through the journey and you liked it.
Yeah.
So if you don't try to enter the world, the real world, and experiment, you'll never know what you love.
True.
You don't know if this pasta is tasty or not until you try it.
Yeah.
So you need to try a lot of things to know what you love and what you don't love.
True.
To do.
And you find people, they've really barricaded themselves these days. They're fearful. They're very confused. I would be lying if I say I don't get confused. Definitely. You reach a certain point in life where you're like, should I try that? Am I like old enough to do this? But you know, the ideology behind that is, like you said, that you need to try or else it's never going to come to you. Yeah. We need to understand everything in our life that we do is a form of communication, is a form of communicating either with others or to ourselves. We see a certain thing and we are communicating whether we like it, whether we dislike it. What are we going to try with it? And all of this happens in fractions of seconds. You know, you see an apple, you think about, oh, it's red, it could be green, it could be yellow, all the things that are taught to you that you know from experience. Do I think I'll eat it? Do I like it? No, I actually like mango. So you see, one thing leads to another.
So I would like to hear the story of the beginning, how you made through the sector of school and
to choose this, like, to teach determination. Yeah. Excuse our English.
It was so unplanned. It was so unplanned because I remember I had just finished high school. I was working in a totally different field, which was recruitment and consultancy. I was a key accounts regional manager in a freight forwarding company. And from there, obviously, I did not have a degree. And there are certain requirements that you need to kind of like accomplish when you are in a certain position at a certain period of time. So I was asked either to have a business degree or a degree in that matter of sort, or have 10 years of experience. That was a requirement at that time. And I didn't have either because I was just fresh graduate out of school and definitely didn't have 10 years of working experience. I was 19 at that time. So imagine working at 9, which is, you know, kind of impossible. So I was like, all right, I started university and I took from my CEO, who kind of suggested get a degree first and come back to us. We're ready to have you with open arms. So it's like, all right, I went to university, 4 years of bachelor's, but during the first year, I didn't do anything. I was just like, maybe I'll just study, you know, just see how it goes. And very frankly, I got super bored. And, you know, everything was just happening. And I was like, I'm not doing anything significant with my life. And then I just thought I need to do something alongside with it. So I tried a couple of jobs, a bit into mystery shopping, a bit into marketing. And then all of a sudden I found myself getting landed in a school. I just applied. I went to the school and I just gave in my CV. I did get my interviews done and everything. So I was selected as a TA initially. Again, because I was working in a school, studying in a university. I didn't have, any credible qualifications or anything. So the basic requirement that I could fit in was a TA, teaching assistant for FS. And I thought, okay, this works. So I have school in the morning and then I have my university in the evening. So I'm doing something productive with my time. And from there, it took off. From there, I was in a class and I was asked to take a session outside with the lower ability students. So every class has a few dynamics there: the high abilities, the middle abilities, and the lower abilities. So that's how the demographics of a classroom works, and teachers then differentiate according to the levels that they're teaching within their class. It was an observation time. I wasn't aware that some of the kids from that were SEN or were to be considered SEN, or would be usually the LAs would be the students who you'd find with behavior issues or with learning difficulties. They're LA for a reason, the lower abilities, right? So I was given that and I was put outside outside the classroom setting. The session was supposed to be conducted in a setting outside. And I was panicked because, you're getting observed by, the heads of department and everybody, and you have to kind of like deal with those children. And again, I'm new into education. I'm new into speaking to the little ones and trying to connect with them, something I've never done before. So I'm there and just like, be real, and tapping into my own inner child, having those fragmental moments of recalling, what did I need when I was there and I was troubled, but nobody was there to help me out. Especially since I lost my dad when I was 5 years old, I had a lot of difficulties communicating about what I really felt and what I put up on my face. So just trying to lens that, trying to see through that. I had the class outside. I had a few kids running about here and there. I could call out to them. I could strike their fancy and interest with the kind of things, the resources that I had. And eventually had a really good lesson. Everybody was engaged. All the kids were engaged. They were all doing whatever they wanted to do, even though they were doing different things. But they were doing something that worked towards a similar goal, which was, let's say, learning about phonics, learning about the first few letters, which was Satpin words. Yeah. So some of them were picking S words, some were, just sorting cards, but it was very unique to how they wanted to learn, and it was giving them that freedom to choose what they were happy to do. And that just took off. From there, they offered me the position: do you want to continue being a TA, or do you want to work as a SEN, special needs and disabilities learning assistant teacher? So I was like, I'll be a learning assistant. I took off to inclusion there. I was given with a few profiles to work with: children with autism, children with ADHD, children with cerebral palsy. Then that went on to year groups. Then I was responsible for a particular year group and for particular children's behavior profiles, that, there's XYZ student and you need to see what are the improvements, what are the strategies for behavior, what are this. And most of it incorporated self-learning and research, self-led research that I'd had to see, because it's not everything that you read that you can implement and expect it to work. It takes a lot of different mix and matches to kind of like get one strategy out that might work for a child. And just in the process somewhere, I just fell in love with doing that. I fell in love with seeing the progress in children, and education itself became so crucial. And I couldn't part myself from it. Like I said, I fell in love with it. My mom was also a teacher. She taught Urdu as a language, which is my mother tongue. So I would always look up to her and I would say, like, she does a noble job, but I don't think I'll ever do that job. And my mom used to say it to me sometimes as well. She's like, you could never be a teacher because you yourself are so like, you know, into things and learning things and doing things. A teacher needs to be a bit more calm. And there was a very set perspective that, you know, you need to look like a teacher. You need to be, you know, very formal like a teacher. And I felt like, okay, maybe it's my mom who's saying it, or maybe it's a requirement of the world that, yes, you need to be a particular way to be a teacher, and I couldn't be that. And now here I am with 7 years of experience in the education industry, doing my level best with the kids and getting good enough responses from the parents and from the kids as their progress is very, very visible in their attainments and everything. It just happens. You don't need to change or be somebody. It just comes within you, and it's what you're willing to take and absorb as well.
Move with the flow.
Yeah.
So I think wherever the flow takes you, you need to know how to deal with it. Like just like water. I always say water is amazing. You know, like.
Definitely. I mean, it always depends how you picture us. When you say move with the flow in terms of water, look at the properties of water. It is something that takes up the shape of any container. Although I would be very careful when I suggest that to somebody, because moving with the flow can also mean somebody who's done, like you said, PhD in science but is doing a janitor's job. You know, it's also the requirements and other factors that exist that maybe there's not enough jobs for people to do what they are actually good at doing, and then they have to substitute with doing something that's completely different from what they've done. My passion and interest was to become a veterinarian, so become an animal doctor, but the kind of situation I was in, I couldn't travel for it, I couldn't get the studies for it, and other requirements such as, like I said, financially supporting a household and taking care of everything. All of that did come into play for me to hover from one job or the other. But if I were to actually talk about the foresight of it, it was the recruitment job where I had to work and kind of like recruit people for different industries in healthcare, school, engineering, finance, hospitality. That was very rewarding because that kind of gave me information about how each industry, how each vertical works in a very specific way and has very specific requirements. So that in itself, you know, reading through the job descriptions from different companies within freight forwarding or, you know, logistics or let's say construction, that kind of gave me a lot to kind of like consider that, okay, you need a person with this much caliber to be able to conduct this task. And that did, you know, build my basics in terms of understanding, okay, what would be needed if this job needs to be done. And that's something that, again, I translated into my work with children. What do children need? What is the antecedent that I need to consider to kind of like have a situation make or break?
The way that you live is by questioning yourself.
Yes.
And realization.
Yes.
How someone can get this to that stage, it's really great.
It is. And it starts with simple things. Again, going back to children, they question everything. And that's how they learn. Their critical window of development is when they are asking the questions. And not just different questions, they're asking the same questions over and over again. You know, they will ask, what color is this? And you're like, it's blue. What's the color of this? It's blue. Third time the child, it's blue. I mean, don't you understand? It's blue. But the child is not probably thinking it's blue. It's like, why is it not red? Why is it not yellow?
Wow.
Why cannot be something else? Why does it even have to be a color? Why can't it be a number?
Wow.
So it's the depth of how you can think through things. And alhamdulillah, as humans, we are given a mind which is able to cognitively, you know, dive into so many things. Why don't we do that? Why have we stopped and limited ourselves? Why have we belittled knowledge so much that we just want to stick with the basics? I don't think people in the past stuck with the basics, and that's when they were able to make groundbreaking achievements by finding something new. It's because they asked the question again and again in different situations, different times, and that's how they figure it out.
Devil in details.
Yes.
But the thing is, sometimes people would say, going, especially like adults, they think that, okay, if you go in details, you will know things that you don't want to know. In terms of like problems, health issues, like I know some people, they would not go to the doctor so that they will not tell them that they are sick.
Yeah.
So they don't want to go in depth to know the reality or the truth of things. So can I say it's ignorant? Like they are ignorant toward their, I don't know if it's the right word.
It is. And hence the very famous quote that ignorance is bliss at times. I do kind of second that in some situations, but I think then that's where we find that people might have challenges with acceptability. There is a lot of debate out there in terms of accepting things the way they are. Like, for example, death is a very known phenomenon, but people don't accept it, right? Yeah. That's why we forget about it. That's why we don't want to think about it. It is something that if you think in depth, can get you so depressed that you don't want to live the next day, or you don't want to do anything for the next day because you're like, I'm going to die anyways. Why do I need to do this, right? So yes, depth in the right kind of, situations and scenarios is good. Some things that you find that can block you, don't do that. I mean, you're fully in control of yourself, right? You have the authority, or you should have enough developed authority within yourself that you get to decide that I want to think more about this without it hurting me in the future. Yeah, because if there's something that is hurting you and initially you get a bad vibe from it, or your gut feeling is telling you stop, red flag, but you keep deep diving into it, what's going to happen? You're going to get that red flag kind of like becoming bigger and bigger and bigger till it's in your face, and you're just anxious, depressed, and you're completely zoned out and you're nothing to do. Even the good things that you're able to do, you're just stuck there and you're like, I can't get out of this. I'm stuck here in a whirlpool. So definitely deep dive into the things that have your personality, or is building something within you in a positive manner, proactively, rather than deconstructing your morals and values.
So I think you got to choose whatever you want to dive for. Either you want to go dive in Bermuda Triangle, or you want to dive in a place where it's full of pearls.
Yeah, definitely.
So you got to choose.
You've definitely got to choose. And you'd find people these days that find it easier to dive into the things that are more depressing or saddening, because scientifically speaking as well, we're more attracted, or we kind of like approach things which are more sad in nature faster than things which are happier. So you see a dog which is like, a puppy or itself, which is just playing or sitting, and you see a puppy which is sad, you automatically go, oh, why is this puppy sad? Or that's how it is. You see a child who's walking about and they're fine, you'll be like, okay, that's all right. If you see a person or a child who's sad and it's just with clothes on, his head down, so automatically, what's wrong? Get attracted to that, because our nature in itself gets attracted to it. But also the good thing about human nature is that it wants to find solutions and wants to make it better. Even if not for somebody else, it is kind of like hardwired to make things better for yourself. But usually people don't see themselves, that self-reflection is not there.
Yeah.
They're ready to accept that something bad happens to me. It's fine. At least it's something for others, or something that I'm doing that's going to come back later, which is going to be good enough.
Yeah.
But how can something be good enough if you're not good enough for yourself first?
Right. So the thing is, we've talked to Mr. Ashraf, and the thing is, this person is living in a positive vibe life. He is an Uber driver, but this guy, everything for him is like amazing, like a very beautiful life.
Yeah.
So we asked him, you don't have problems? He said, who don't?
Exactly.
But I see problems are like something normal. Even like his nephew died, and he was like telling them back home, like, it's like, this is life, life and death. You know?
God gave us, and then he took it back.
And the interesting thing about him is that the more he dive in that positivity, he get rewards.
Yeah.
And he was telling us about how many rewards he was getting just from, just taking it easy and calm.
Yeah.
And he's a very calm person. When you sit with him, you're just smiling because of the positivity that he gives you.
Yeah. Like his aura is built around it.
Yeah, exactly. So you would say this guy is living his life, because he's diving in the positivity. And
true.
Exactly what.
Exactly.
How to increase positivity?
Well, it starts from the narratives, and I would say it starts personally. So charity is first. When you are charitable to yourself, you need to kind of be nice to yourself. You need to be positive about everything and anything that is happening in your life. Try to understand that there's this, circle of control, and there's a circle which is outside your control. Yes, there's certain things you can do in the incremental bit of things, but mostly things will take their course. So do your best and expect the best, but prepare for the worst as well. But don't blame yourself and don't be negative about something that happens, because things are just happening. You're labeling it as positive or negative. So once you start building that narrative that it's okay, it happened, what's next? What can I do next? It's okay, this happened, how can I improve? It's okay, this happened. Does it have to do anything with me? Even if it doesn't, is there something I can do to make it better? And how much am I required in that situation? When you put yourself in that, you're prioritizing your well-being of things around you, you're automatically assertive, you're automatically proactive, you're automatically positive. Because now you're not sitting and regretting or remorsing about something that has happened. You are now constructively thinking how to let go of that moment, which may be unpleasant, and look for a brighter and a better tomorrow.
I really like the way how you said charitable to yourself.
Yes. Charity starts at home.
Yeah, before others. Because some people, they will run from reality through giving others a lot of, like, they want to help, but they forget to help themselves.
Yeah.
And they end up being like so depressed, or like, because they think by helping others they are helping themselves. But I don't think so, because you need to help yourself to be able to help others. Because the more you're not helping yourself and you're trying to help others, you're drowning with them.
Yeah. In another sense as well, I feel like people have very conflicting thoughts. Again, I have very conflicting thoughts at times myself. With the notion that you said that people think that, helping others is going to help them. I'm somewhere in the middle of that. Mm-hmm. I'm ready to consider that I'm going to help someone, but I will not set up the expectations that maybe that person's going to help me as well. Mm-hmm. Many people help thinking I'm doing good, so I'm going to receive good. Mm-hmm. Maybe that doesn't work. Maybe you will do good, and mostly it happens you do good, and you actually get nothing in return, or at times even worse, you get something bad in return. You do so much for the person comes up and says, what have you done for me? Like, almost everything, but you don't want to consider it at this point, but almost everything. And you go through this in very different ways from childhood, from your friends. Take your friends, for example. You might stand up with a friend for the better or the worse, and then someday some other person comes along that becomes their priority, and then they start detaching with you and they start distancing with you, and you feel sad and lonely about it, and you're like, I stood with this silly person for their whole life, and look at them, going about and making another bestie, and so many different things. Like, or if it's a business matter, I've supported this person so much, and now they've double-crossed me or they've done something. The key here is to understanding that people will do what they're meant to do. It's in their nature. It's just like animals, you know. You see a lion, you know it's in his nature to kind of like be ferocious, be dangerous. If you want to go poke him, that's up to you. You're brave and courageous. You're kind. Yeah, you're pulling something out there that's giving you some sort of satisfaction, which is great. But you can't go in expecting that if I've been, you know, feeding this lion for 10 days, on the 11th day, it's not going to pounce on me.
Yeah.
He will still do that. And people will still look for their benefit. Right? So you do something, you do kindness, but you drive the accomplishment and the happiness that you were capable enough to do that for them. Not that you did something for them and they're happy now. That's not what the happiness is. They will be happy whether you were there in their life or not. Or they will get their happiness from somewhere else, which might have nothing to do with you. But you need to be happy about, again, intrinsically, internally, that what I did made a difference. The process, I was capable of doing that. Not many people are able to go, you know, above and beyond to do something kind or generous for anybody, because everybody's too busy trying to, you know, be self-sufficient, be, you know, self-centered. So the fact that you were able to step out, do something for somebody else with no expectations of benefit or returns, that is something you can be happy about.
Yeah, definitely. The thing is, you know, if you do always when you want to do anything, okay, ask yourself why you're doing that thing. Because if you are doing that thing to grab attention of people, you, in my opinion, you will never grab attention of people.
True.
Because the moment you do something wrong, you are
Gone
for them.
Definitely.
If you are doing something to accumulate money, knowledge, anything, one day all this money could be gone. Also, all this knowledge, just like, for example, I always like to bring Nokia to the stage. I love this company.
Right.
But unfortunately, when Samsung and iPhone came to the market, they refused to upgrade their technology. And all their knowledge and wealth and everything is gone.
Yeah, true.
So I learned something, that if you depend on any materialistic thing or any creature or anything and this that is created in this world, you will always be losing. You know why? Because everything in this world is created in a way that has a limited resources.
Yes.
Okay. But if you depend on the greater power, which is God for us and Muslims, okay, and many other religions that they believe in God, but God has no limited resources at all. No limit.
Exactly.
No limitation.
Exactly.
So if you're doing this and you are attached to the greater power that has no resources, you will never be losing. You lost your money, so what?
Exactly.
You lost your health, so what? Because only if you believe that you could regain your health, regain your money, regain whatever. All these are created by the God or the greater power.
Exactly.
Okay. By this point, you have nothing to lose.
Exactly. When you have nothing to lose, when you're already on rock bottom, there's nothing you're scared about.
And unfortunately, see, rock bottom, I have reached rock bottom. Many people, like some of my friends, a lot of people, they are reaching rock bottom. Until they reach there, they start going up really high. But the thing is, I always ask myself, why do we need to reach rock bottom to go back up? I always ask this question. I don't know if we have that feeling that, you know what, to be able to succeed, you need to reach the rock bottom. But I see, no. No,
not really. But I'll tell you why people reach rock bottom and then they get there, because it is when they reach rock bottom and they've lost all connections and ties, is when they get the time to think and reflect.
Oh, wow. That means all those people who succeeded or they reached their rock bottom,
Yes.
they are so much attached to too many things around
Yes.
them.
Yes.
And those things that they are attached to, it's what they drag them down to the
Yes.
rock bottom. Because the people who are not attached to anything around them and they are succeeding, they have nothing to lose at their situation and point. Wow.
Because they've reached that level of acceptability, and that they've reached that level of thinking that I'm going to do what I will do best. Things will happen. Success is going to come along with. Whoever is going to be with me, my responsibilities, they're going to be met accordingly. If not, something else is going to happen. And they don't have that fear. We need to also understand fear is the biggest thing that exists. It's the driver that exists that limits us the most. Okay, that all exists, yes. But have you ever thought about the fact that right now you are in this beautiful country, an opportunity that maybe some people might never visit, right? You exist. That in itself is such a huge anchor point in the history of, time in itself, that you as a being existed and you're capable of doing something. Why not do something that's going to take you forward, not just monetary wise? Maybe it might not be beneficial now, but try. What is it going to take? Is it going to cost your family? Your family is already at a cost anyways. You're far away from them. You're giving them a life in which they're fearful, you're fearful. Is it worth it?
I have maybe a deeper question. Do you believe in making opportunities or waiting for opportunities?
I believe in making the opportunity, but I also believe in the fact that things are very centered around the timing. You need to do the right thing at the right time with the right resources at the right place.
Where Aisha see herself after 10 years?
To be very honest, in 10 years, I would see myself doing something which is, again, around the core, which I mentioned earlier. Everybody has a core. Your friend who is working in Uber, his core, it revolves around positivity. My core is something that I'd like to believe is something that revolves around kindness. So something that is kind, something that is helpful towards others and myself. So I do see myself hopefully, continuing with horse riding, maybe having a couple of accomplishments there, doing something in the field of special needs and education, maybe having, a small institute who could help kids with, with disabilities and or people with people of determination, helping them around something which has something to do with animals, so like a safe house for animals and poultry and farming and all of that, something that makes a difference. And best of all, maybe creating a perception where people can follow and look at the world in a nicer way, because kindness gets you everything. I think the world will be such a better place if people learn to be kind to themselves and to others.
What makes Aisha strong? Or the resources that, this resource makes me strong and I will take more from it?
In my life, growing up, through very difficult and different phases, I felt like I was not enough. Mm-hmm. Maybe I was not enough for my family. Maybe I wasn't a good enough daughter. Maybe I wasn't a good enough friend. Or maybe I wasn't good enough to do something or the other. And I always felt like there was this pressure that I'd had to rely on somebody. My mom would say, you need to do this, you need to go to this person. Or, if you need to be good at this certain thing, you need to go and do that. If you need to be good at music, you need to learn from a teacher. The motivation that I derive from is just the fact that if I do something and if I need to do something, I need to make sure I'm doing it where it's enough for me, not anybody else.
Really great.
Yeah. It needs to look good to me. Maybe it doesn't have to impress anybody. Maybe it does impress somebody and they appreciate it, but it needs to be good enough where I'm happy about the process, where I'm happy and content that even though I wasn't enough, I did enough to make something that can be enough for me.
But what's enough, actually?
It is whatever you decide it to be.
Oh, wow.
That's what I said. It needs to be enough for you.
Yeah, but enough for you, because sometimes people, they don't have limits.
True.
They are limitless.
True.
And they are always running behind that enough, and they don't reach to this enough.
Yeah.
And this is so hectic. I'm one of those people who used to just run behind the enough. But I always feel I'm not enough.
Yep. That's where we had the conversation prior to this, where we talked about people being so in the system that they have to look for the next thing.
Yeah.
Where are you stopping?
Without valuing
that, you know? It's so, you know, debatable in terms of you can go talking about it on and on and on forever, where you can sometimes do some things. And I've had these experiences where I've painted on canvases and stuff, and at that point I'm like, okay, I've done it, and it's there on my bedroom wall, or it's there stuck on my door. And then on a very random day, I've come from work, you know, I've come from, you know, riding or whatever, and I've put my bag down and I'm laying upside down on the bed, you know, with my head like flowing downwards and everything. And I'm just staring at that painting, and I turned around and I'm like, that is actually so beautiful. And all of a sudden I'm like, I did that. I'm capable of doing that. And I get so emotional about it at times that I'm tearing, and I'm like, I give myself so much less value and credit for the things I'm able to do.
Yeah.
And that's what people usually do. They belittle themselves. They don't, you know, have the courage, or they don't have that narrative for themselves that I did this. Even though, if, you know, it doesn't look good right now, but from some angle, it is very unique to what anybody else can bring on the plate.
Yeah.
And that in itself is beautiful. That in itself needs, you know, a validation, credibility. And nobody is going to come and give it to you. Nobody. It's, you know, we think our families are, you know, a support system and everyone, but you need to realize they're individuals with their own personal character and their own personal wars and, you know, accomplishments and everything. They're complete beings. So you have to be there for you. And you need to make yourself realize whatever I do is significant enough. And the beauty about it is that once you feel like you've done something significant, whether or not it is significant or not, others will see it as well.
Wow.
If you are scared from something,
Yeah.
what are the things that you bring to the table and you let this scary thing be very small?
Okay, I have this thing which I do, and gosh, everybody hates it. Everybody hates it, but it works for me. My internal response to anything that is scary or something that is, you know, something that upsets me, something that just takes over me completely, my initial response is to run away. That's something that I've built because of my past experiences, which have not been very, very sane. So, in the sense, what I do now, rather than running away from them, something similar in the sort is that I go to the beach, I stand right amidst the water where the water touches the sand, and I'm there. And I've done this almost every time I've been to the beach. So I'll stand there for a few minutes, not even seconds, for a few minutes, and I will see myself as a body, an embodiment of all those problems, everything. Maybe, you know, it's social, personal, whatever problems it is, work-related problems, and all of that is with this person right now. And this person is standing here. This person is standing here. That person still stood there, and as the water crashes into the shore, I run. I'm running with the shore, you know, crashing on the sand, and I'm running. And in my mind, that person has just stood over there. And I run and I run and I run till I am tired. And I stop and I look back and I see that that person is probably still stood at a distance. And then I retrace my step back. And with each step, I think about each of the problem. And I think about, okay, this problem would probably took me this long to come up to a solution. So maybe I will take this long to recover from it. And that's where I will decide on a solution that I would want to implement, a strategy that I would want to implement. And I'll keep that time phrase as to the number of steps, maybe into days or months, whatever seems right to me. It's just a cognitive thing that I've built with myself, that if maybe I have to take in 5 steps, from my starting point to the end point to coming up for a solution for that specific problem, one at a time, then it might take me 5 weeks or maybe 5 months. That's for me to decide, thinking about the logistics of the solution of the problem. And then slowly, by the time when I've reached this person does not have any of those problems.
Yeah. Did you study psychology?
No, but I have taken a few courses, and I have done a few psychological tests and kind of like experiments while I was working in school, with my friends and with a few people, and even at stables, with some of my friends over there. When we sat around, we talk about certain things, and then when this happens, I've got calls from my friends going back like, actually that is something that's embedded in me and I never realized this existed. I'm like, yeah, it happens.
Yeah. All these stories and the stages that you've been through, and this, if you have one thing to say, one learning that you want to share for us, what it will be?
I would definitely say that it's okay to take your time with things. It's okay to be on a different page. Success and anything good does not come to everybody at the same time. And it doesn't come in the same form to everybody at the same time. What I learned was we usually connect success to monetary values. Sometimes it comes to us in good health. Sometimes it comes to us in good friends. Sometimes it comes to us just by thinking that we are blessed enough to have clean water to drink, a place to live, family, the opportunity to being born and to seeing the world. Take that and make the most of it. I wish there were 38 to at least 40 hours in a day. So there are so many things in the world that I could still do, or I still want to do and learn. But I know life is limited. So make sure in that limitations of life, you don't lose yourself into the hustle of being alive. I think this is one of the first times where I've stepped out and actually spoken about these things. A lot of my friends have been pushing me. Friends are the only family I have, unfortunately. So they've very much motivated me to doing so many things. I'm on the way of publishing a book soon, inshallah. It's a book about poetry, and definitely it's a book with poetry and like original art paintings that I am working on. And it has 2 editions. It has the reader's edition, which has the poetry and the art, and there's a hands-on edition where the place where I have the art piece is blank. So the person has the opportunity whether they want to write something which is in accordance to that, or if they want to paint something which is in accordance to that. So I'm hoping to publish that with all of these talks in terms of psychology and helping out people. They've always pushed me, do something, go to people, help them out, talk about these things. I'm like, inshallah someday. So this was something that I was a little skeptical about. Should go, shouldn't go. But then I was like, this has been such a great learning journey for me to be able to, again, have that moment where I could sit and also have a bit of self-reflection as well. It's just truly beautiful when you come and think about it. Everybody has so much inside them and such different experiences, and they can create such beautiful things.